I think when you consider the Cine Capri and the impact it had on Phoenicians and Phoenix and society around this area, you got to stop for a second and really understand where Phoenix as a city was at that time. I mean, in the early 60s, Phoenix had just come from about a 10-year span where the population of our city increased 400%. So Phoenix has always been associated with growth, but especially in the early 60s, we just reached a point where we're almost about 500,000 people. So it was really growing like crazy. The downtown had shifted, shopping had moved from downtown. Places like Biltmore, where the Cine Capri was, were really booming. The whole Arcadia area, all of that was really growing at a very rapid pace. Movie theaters in town were just on the leading edge of what were called multiplexes, where they're very common now, where you go and there's 10 or 12 theaters in one shopping mall or something, and you have all kinds of choices. Well, that was just beginning. The majority of the theaters were still the single screen, like the Fox Theater, the Orpheum, the Palms Theater. They were single screen theaters. Paramount, Arizona hired a guy named Ralph Haver to design the Cine Capri Theater. They really wanted a one-of-a-kind, massive, very ornate, luxurious theater that rivaled theaters anywhere in the country, and that's what they wanted. They hired Ralph Haver, who at that time was a very prominent architect in Phoenix. He was primarily known for designing homes and residences and different kinds of retail buildings. He wasn't really known for designing and drawing a theater. And so they hired him, and building it starting in about 1964. And the building itself, when it was finished, 16,000 square feet, 17,000 square foot theater, had a big arc, curved entryway, a portico. As you came into the lobby, there was Italian tile everywhere. There was a 24-foot high stained glass window, the stained glass that had been imported from New York. One of the things that when you talk about people who went to the Cine Capri on a regular basis in those years, they remembered the curtain. And the curtain was just a massive piece of material, and it was gold, and it swept back and opened up and just to display and present the movie theater. But there was 4,000 inches of gold metallic material that were purchased to create this massive, gorgeous curtain. So on March 31st of 1966, the theater opened, and the following day, Charlton Heston, who was a star of the first film there, The Agony and the Ecstasy, he came in person and did a little workshop for high school kids in the theater and introduced the first movie at the Cine Capri. And it was a big hit. And the thing about the Cine Capri, which rivaled a lot of the other theaters, and I can remember as a kid, you would decide which movie you were going to go to, and then you would go see which theater was showing it. Well, with the Cine Capri, just going there was an event in itself. People went to the Cine Capri just to experience the luxury of it and the beauty of it. It was a destination in itself. People would go there for celebrations or first dates or some special kind of event. The Cine Capri primarily in the early years anyway ran just big movies like Agony and the Ecstasy, which opened the theater. The Godfather was the only movie theater in Arizona that was showing The Godfather at the time. The Titanic, unfortunately, was the final theater, so the Cine Capri kind of sank right along with the movie Titanic at the same time. Star Wars opened there in 1977. The Star Wars, the first Star Wars actually showed consecutively for a full calendar year. It was the longest run of Star Wars in the entire country. It was a very profitable movie to be shown. The whole theater was an event in itself. You could they actually had it, at one time they had a dress code, if you could believe it. They didn't allow anybody to wear jeans. Females could not wear shorts, and sandals, you could not wear sandals. They actually had a published dress code to attend the Cine Capri movie theater, which sounds kind of odd today. For the opening, I actually saw an ad. You could send in money and pre-order tickets for that opening movie of The Agony and the Ecstasy. So as years went by, the total Cine Capri was open for about 32 years, from 66 to 98. It changed hands several times, different owners ran it. The final owner was a guy named Dick Harkins, who still, there's a lot of Harkins theaters around Phoenix and Scottsdale. And he owned it for, I think, about 10 years. The thing that got in the way of it continuing to succeed and be a presence in the valley was there was a different company that owned the land that the theater was on. Harkins owned the building, but a different investment company owned the land, and they wanted to build a multi-rise office building. Obviously, right there at 24th Street and Camelback, you're gonna make a lot more money off of an office building than you will from a standalone theater. So there was about a year-long battle. There was a bunch of citizens saved the Cine Capri. There was something like 250,000 people that signed a petition, but unfortunately, property rights and everything else, and the investment company won out. And in 1998, the Cine Capri went down. The legacy of the Cine Capri, for those of us that were around to attend it, it's always coupled with fond memories. It was a destination. It was what I call a part of civic pride. Yes, it was a building. Yes, there was a lot of money in it. Yes, it was ornate. But what was coupled with it for Phoenicians at the time was the civic memory of going there as a celebration, or going there with a special person or some special event. That's the legacy of the Cine Capri, is it's always associated with some fond memories of people that lived here.